Open up a tab, grab a seat, and pour a pint. It's time for the Beer Guys Radio Show.
You want free beer? Go to the brewery.
Dedicated to the art, science, and enjoyment of craft beer.
Yo, what's wrong with the beer we got?
Now, here are your hosts, Tim Dennis and Aaron Williams.
And welcome to the Beer Guys Radio Show. BeerGuysRadio.com. We are radio for the local craft beer movement, broadcasting from our lovely Atlanta studios at AM 920 The Answer. And I'm Aaron Williams.
And I'm Tim Dennis. We got Brian Hewitt in the studio with us as well, and Becky Smalls hanging out here. This week we've got special guest Wild Leap Brewing from LaGrange, and we've got Rob Goldstein and Chris Elliott in the studio with us. Guys, thanks for joining us.
Good to be here.
Thank you. Good to be here. And a nice thing that everyone's got their own mics today. I was able to kind of do some magic, and you've got your own mic, Tim.
Yes. I just noticed that. You do have a mic. Crazy.
So we let Brian talk, actually, for today, which should be good. I know. That is a little dangerous. Yeah, so we're going to talk turkey as well. Of course, it's the weekend before Thanksgiving, and we'll talk about beers to bring to that Thanksgiving feast, too. So, busy week out there. We had a couple of events that went on. Tim, you were, of course, always much bigger than I am.
Here and there.
Yes, much better beer list than I had, exactly.
Went to the Nest, hung out there, had some nachos, and a blackened shrimp BLT wrap that was really good. So that was nice. Tried Reformation's 500, which I thought was fantastic. Little Jekyll 7 Bridges there, which is an awesome Oktoberfest. So also had a big bottle share with a friend for his birthday. We broke out a ton of Northeast IPAs and drank a bunch of hazy beers, and also went to an event at Staple House with Sweetwater for their second helping beer and campaign through the Giving Kitchen. Got a little preview of the latest batch that kind of talked about this year's second helping campaign in the Giving Kitchen. Good times.
Yeah, definitely good times. Of course, I went there with Staple House as well. It was a lot of fun. Anytime you get an invite to go to Staple House, you kind of have to go. It's the rule. Also, got to check out Monday Night's Garage as well. Of course, they got a lot of stuff going on, including their situational ethics on draft. So, got a chance to get some big old stouts on Monday night too. So Brian, you've got a list as well. I mean, you've got stuff that's going on. So what'd you have?
I had a few things. Going to the opening of Truck and Tap in Alpharetta, and that evil twin and the name, I had to write it down. If you want the rainbow, you've got to put up with the rain. Was one of the best things I've had in a while. Like definitely the best thing I had this week. It was delicious.
That's a great beer name as well as a mantra for life.
Yeah, that is true. Yes, that was good. I've been jonesing for like ESBs and porters, so I happened to come across some Green Man ESBs and porters and enjoyed them greatly. Those are just a few things. I mean, the list is too long.
The list goes on.
I can't go into it.
You just have so many beers, Brian. That's how it works, right?
Chris, Rob, you guys have anything interesting this week?
In terms of beers we tried?
Or anything interesting. Beers, experience, life experiences. So
yeah, we spent all week kind of getting our we have our World Peach, which is our peach cobbler ale that we finally came to fruition. We made it as fast as we could and got it ready as fast as we could so we could get it out there and get everybody trying it before, during, or even after Thanksgiving. So just wanted to make sure we got that out there as fast as we could.
Your peach cobbler ale went to fruition. I see what you did there.
Yeah, you like that?
That was good. Yeah. That was completely unintentional or not. It was fantastic. So yeah.
We also launched cans for the first time in this week.
Nice.
Officially tomorrow, but in the first 6 counties in our surrounding areas right now.
And we've got a few of those cans, actually. So
good-looking package in there.
Definitely.
Some good-looking cans.
Those are nice cans you've got there. Hey, let's check out Truck and Tap's beers of the week.
Crack open a cold one. It's the Truck and Tap Beer of the Week. Woo-hoo! Craft beer and food trucks in downtown Woodstock. Truckandtap.com.
So, as we mentioned, we had some Wild Leap stuff. What else have we got? What we've got going on there, Tim?
Well, we're pre-gaming here with a little bit. We have a critical band from Modern Times Beer, a juicy tropical IPA. Brian, you got another Arizona beer there for us, right?
Yes, I brought Dark Skies Roasted and Toasted. It's a coffee stout. It's out of Flagstaff, Arizona. It's roasted and toasted.
It's roasted and toasted. Very good. Yeah, and from Wild Leap, we have their Chance IPA and their local gold there. So in awesome-looking cans, we'll get into all of those.
Sounds like a plan to me. And speaking of getting into stuff, let's go ahead and check out the headlines with our man Brian. Here it is.
What's in the news? The beer guys have the scoop.
Extra, extra, read all about it.
time for headlines.
So, Brian, what's the scoop?
So the first thing I have is Copper Creek Brewing in Athens is closing their doors. Have you guys been to Copper Creek in Athens?
Not in a minute.
It's been a little while. Probably not since Creature Comforts opened up, and Southern Brewing Company and a couple of the other ones. But they were the only microbrewery in downtown Athens. In what I read, there was no real issue or reason given for why they're closing. I was looking around, I could not find one, but their last day is today. So if you're hearing this now and you want to go get one last beer there, you
better
should go right
huh?
now. Like as soon as you're done listening, but go
right now.
Yeah,
or put
right
it on the headphones, right? Take
exactly.
it with you.
Oh yeah.
Now they were the only microbrewery in downtown Athens till Creature Conference got there. So
is Creature considered downtown?
I think that's downtown Athens. Yeah, but I believe that their website was probably built before then, and that is the tagline they have on their website.
Yeah,
there.
I was basing that off of the article. I was, you know what? Yeah, because that is like a town area, isn't it? So, yeah. So in happier news, though, we have Serda Brewing Company is opening in Mobile, Alabama on the 25th of this month. So that's their official opening day, but their grand opening event is December 1st. So that's something to look for if you're down in that area. Their head brewer, Todd Hicks, is planning to focus on making traditional European beer styles and applying a, quote, American craft beer flair to them. So that's what they got going on there. And if you're in the area, if you're interested, they have a mug club thing that they're doing. So
cool.
All of that. And got a few other things opening up. We got Truck and Tap Alpharetta opened yesterday. And, Tim and I got to see a little preview of that, and actually, Aaron, you were there as well.
Too. I was customer number 3.
You were customer number 3. You got a preview of the preview.
I know, it's amazing how that happens.
Yes, so I like that. I like their whole layout. It's like the Woodstock location, but it's like twice the size, and you can't go wrong with that. You've got a continually rotating bit of food, and you got the tap list and everything like that. So that was neat. Also, Etowah Meadery, grand opening in Dahlonega today. I believe that goes until 10 o'clock. And looks like they're making a lot of fruited wines, melomels. And they also, which I thought was interesting, they age local honey in whiskey barrels. So that's something that would be also as interesting to me as the mead, to go up there and get that.
So they age the honey itself or mead?
Yes. Local honey aged, it's listed on their Facebook page. I saw that, and I'm like, oh, hey, that's kind of neat. So.
Yeah, I could dig that.
Cool.
That's it. We got more headlines.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yes.
So in a story that hits close to home for me, we've got this. It's from the Outrage Desk. AB InBev is teaming up with a beer mecca, Portland, Oregon, to fight a local Portland craft brewery. This blows my mind. So what they want is they want to get the iconic Leaping Stag logo away from a brewery called Old Town Brewing Company. And they've been going to the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office over and over and over again, requesting it, and they're forcing this little craft brewery to continue paying out legal fees to protect their logo, their thing. And Portland wants it so they can license it to AB InBev. And AB InBev is also going out and trying to get it on their own, too. And the city of Portland is talking about suing this little craft brewery over this logo. It's ridiculous. Now, I can't even believe this.
Is it a sign or something like that? Is that what it is? Like,
so there's a Welcome to Oregon sign that has an iconic leaping stag on it, and everybody sees that coming in over the bridge. I think it's in from Washington, and it's part of Portland. And they grabbed it up years ago and use it for their beers, and City of Portland doesn't like that. And
of all the cities to hear this happening in, Portland would be the last one that I would think would go after a craft brewer like that.
I can't even believe it. Yeah,
I guess dollars speak even to weird people, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Just don't take away the carpet in the airport, right? That's what I've also heard. You can't do that.
Well, I think they did.
Oh, I think that's right.
It was, yes, that was so iconic. Every time I flew home and saw that carpet, I'm like, oh my God, I'm home.
That's so funny.
Yeah, that's
good stuff right there. So cool. Well, thanks, Brian. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, we're going to take a quick break. You're listening to Beer Guys Radio. We will be back very soon to talk to Wild Leap Brewing.
Have you ever thought about owning your own brewery, but don't know what it takes to get one built? We're CRL Contracting, and we build breweries. We are the most experienced contractors in the state of Georgia when it comes to building new breweries and tap rooms, or expanding current breweries. If you've been to Orpheus, Second Self, or Scofflaw, then you know what kind of work we can do. Just give us a call at 678-546-3382 or visit crlcontracting.com for more information. CRL Contracting. We build breweries. crlcontracting.com.
Craft beer forged with a reverence for tradition and new styles that start a revolution. Monger Brewing. The brewers at Monger pride themselves in being masters of barrel-aged, hoppy, and sour beers. They invite you to their tap room to taste and see. And coming soon, Monger's Barrel Room, featuring live entertainment. Keep up to date on all things Monger by liking them on Facebook. Monger Brewing, establishing a new standard in craft beer.
Aaron and Tim, the beer guys. If you're like us, no lunch or dinner is complete without a pint or two of craft beer.
Which is why Truck and Tap in downtown Woodstock and Alpharetta are always on our list. Tim, why do they call it Truck and Tap?
Well, the tap part is easy, Aaron. See, they've got 18 of them.
As for the truck part, well, that's when it gets interesting. Truck and Tap features your favorite Atlanta area food trucks daily, so that way you're getting a different menu every day.
Truck and Tap in downtown Woodstock, Alpharetta, and coming soon to Duluth in 2018. Truckandtap.com. Let them know that the beer guys sent you.
We are Reformation Brewery, celebrating the reformer in you. Locally crafted within the renowned Etowah watershed of Woodstock, Georgia, Reformation creates yeast-forward brews full of aroma and flavor crafted to last. Come see us in beautiful Woodstock, Georgia, for a tour and tasting of unique brews that you can't find anywhere else. Reformation Brewery, set beer free. ReformationBrewery.com.
Follow the Beer Guys on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
I meant to do that.
Now, back to the Beer Guys Radio Show.
And welcome back to the Beer Guys Radio Show. BeerGuysRadio.com is our website, and we are talking to Chris Elliott and Rob Goldstein. They're from LaGrange's Wild Leap Brewing Company, and they're passing around some beers already, so times are always good. So welcome to the show, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
You didn't drive all the way up here from LaGrange, did you?
We did.
We did.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive. Thank you. Thank you for doing that. Appreciate that.
I guess that's about the only way to get here, right?
That's true.
Well, yeah, I guess it's true. The
Megabus.
train,
Is there a megabus?
The company helicopter wasn't working.
It was,
Yeah.
Someone else was using it, so we couldn't take that. Well, guys, like Aaron mentioned, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. We're sipping on your local gold right now, which is your blonde ale. Can you tell us a little bit about this beer?
Sure. So this is, I listen to y'all a good bit, and
thank you.
You start to hear it's almost kind of cookie cutter. A lot of breweries that are in kind of more rural areas, they tend to drop something pretty similar to this. They drop a blonde ale, they'll drop a IPA around the same time. But the thing is that in our opinion, we felt like a lot of these areas were kind of almost underserved in terms of options that they had for a good fresh beer. They're starting to experiment more, but they still, you don't want to get out of too far out of people's comfort zone. So we knew that a blonde was definitely a necessary beer, especially when you see how much Bud Light's in the beer aisles of our grocery stores around there. So it's pretty.
The craft beer selection in LaGrange isn't.
Allocation isn't fantastic.
Gotcha.
It is getting a lot better, and it's getting better very quickly.
That's good.
But we did. These were definitely two beers that we thought would do really well, and so far we've been right.
So have you had anyone come in asking for a Bud Light yet?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I was going to say that's like what?
That's
what
a
do you mean?
thing. It's we explain what craft beer is on a regular basis.
Okay. Well, that's awesome. Now, you guys have a pretty solid story kind of about the founding of the brewery, the name, everything. So what's your story, guys?
Rob?
So we're all from Atlanta, and we met. Chris and Anthony were working at a brewery for over a decade together, and my background is marketing and events. So about 6 years ago, walked into their brewery and took a look around and thought, wow, this would be a really cool place to do a New Year's Eve event. So we came up with the idea together to do an event called Brew Year's Eve. And after some negotiations and discussions, 3 months later we did it, and 1,800 people showed up for the first time. So we thought, wow, we're on to something here, and we continue to do events, Halloween, New Year's, and even craft beer festivals in the Atlanta area. At some point, we saw that the beer festival market was becoming so oversaturated in Atlanta that we wanted to try to seek out other smaller towns that we felt would appreciate this a little bit more. So we were introduced to the city of LaGrange, and they said to us, listen, we want to host a craft beer festival, and we also want to use it as an opportunity to bring an existing brewery and move up their operations to downtown LaGrange. So we ended up doing this festival and taking a wild leap, as we say, and spent $60,000 of our own money to do it. And thankfully, we didn't go bankrupt in the process. So
that's a good start, at least, right? Yeah.
And after that, we just decided that, you know what, we should be the guys to start a brewery in downtown LaGrange. So 2 years later, here we are.
Excellent. Well, cool. Again, Wild Leap is going strong, I guess, already. You just opened up earlier this year. How are things so far?
Things are great. We started in the LaGrange and surrounding areas, so Peachtree City, Noonan, Fayetteville, places like that. And we've been able to expand to Columbus, as well as Auburn and Opelika in Alabama. And then recently we've made our way up to Atlanta. So we've been in this market for about 5 weeks or so. And, of course, it's a whole different animal because you have so many more breweries, so much more competition, so many more bars and restaurants and such. But it's been great. And, I think with Chris and Anthony's background in the brewing industry for the last 10 years, it's helped guide us to avoid making most mistakes in the beginning. We're always going to make quite a bit, but so far, so good.
Now, Chris, you previously brewed with the good folks over there at Red Brick for quite a while, where we first met.
See, actually, over at Red Brick, I did mostly the events, kind of front of the house.
Okay, all right.
Like that. That was one thing that I enjoy doing so much that suddenly I found myself sitting there at almost a decade, working there, just kind of hanging out with people, drinking beer, and talking about it. And I kind of had a moment where I started thinking back, like, why did I come here? And I started at Red Brick because I was an obsessive homebrewer who wanted to have basically a brewmaster to drink my beer and tell me if it was good or not. So I said I need to kind of focus and get back to that original goal that I had 10 years ago when I started working in the beer industry. And so that just kind of took me on a path, just bouncing around to a few different breweries to kind of hone my skills and get ready to build a brewery and then brew beer on it. So
very cool. Mm-hmm. Took that wild leap and started your own brewery.
There's a theme.
We're going to see if someone listening to this can tell us how many times we say wild leap. We'll send you a swag pack out there.
Something, exactly. Yeah. So Chris, actually, I met you a few months ago when you were kind of shadowing Second Self.
That's right, yeah.
Did you take a little bit of a tour before you started opening this and kind of get some best practices, or were you just kind of...
That's exactly what I did.
Yeah.
I got to know Chris Doyle and Jason and Chris Drury and a handful of other people over there at Second Self, and they were kind enough to sort of let me hang out and kind of do whatever or help wherever I could there, and sort of play with some equipment that I was going to have of my own very soon. So they were very helpful with that.
You guys, starting in LaGrange, we say this a lot. We've said to a lot of breweries lately because we're trying to get some of these newer guys on, and a lot of the new folks are coming in to the underserved areas. So we always seem to say, why so-and-so, wherever the location may be. But what were the special considerations you took considering you opened in LaGrange rather than in a town that's more beer-focused?
Sure. I mean, it has its good and its bad. I mean, the challenge with LaGrange is the population has been stagnant for the last 50 years or so. However, surrounding towns like Peachtree City and Noonan have grown quite a bit. So we knew that the market as a whole, or the distribution market as a whole, was rather large. What we really fell in love with was the city itself. As we mentioned, we did the LaGrange Craft Beer Festival in October of 2015, and what we found is that, working with the various municipalities and all of that, in Atlanta, to sneeze in the middle of a park, you need 3 permits, and you need to wait 6 months to do so. In LaGrange, we felt that the various city officials and the mayor and the Downtown Development Authority, they were so warm and welcoming and so eager to help make it possible to do business there that at some point we felt we can deal with the population not being an Atlanta population, because it was almost like the Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come. And we found this beautiful building right at the edge of downtown that had been vacant for 8 years, but it has a ton of history. It was built in 1940 originally as a Chevy dealership, so it has these beautiful curved windows where the Chevys used to sit inside our tap room. And then in the 60s, it transitioned to the Westbrook Tire Building, where it stayed for 40 years. So it has this rich history that the folks of LaGrange, it means something to them, and we're able to do this beautiful renovation to the building and have space that can fit 2,600 plus, but at the same time really keep the bones and the character and restore this beautiful historic building to its new glory, so to speak.
Yeah, we've got a lot of folks out there, and of course, that we talk to that do that. They take an older building that's been kind of disused or in a part of town that's not really all that exciting to begin with, and renovate it, and it sort of becomes more of a gathering place. So it kind of seems like you're doing the same thing in LaGrange.
Sure, it's exciting because right when our brewery deal got done, it was announced that Great Wolf Lodge was coming about 2.5 miles away from our doorstep, which, as you may be aware, Great Wolf Lodge is an indoor water park / hotel. It's going to be like a 450-room hotel, and it's going to draw approximately 500,000 people a year. Just being very close to LaGrange, that's really exciting because that opens in May of next year.
Indoor water park. My kids will be so excited.
Yeah,
I like it.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely.
And a different kind of water park for you, just 2.5 miles away.
There you go. I'll say, go ahead, kids.
So,
just go to town, and I'll be next door. That's it.
Now, being that you set up in a town of about 30,000 there, I believe, is about the size of LaGrange. So I'm assuming, taking that chance there, that wild leap, and starting a smaller town.
Are we supposed to drink every time you do that?
I think, can we get a bell?
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm assuming smaller building, smaller brew house to start off, right?
Not in this case, thankfully. Yeah. It goes back to the Anthony and Chris thing where they come from this background and they were able to help educate us on the size of the brew house that we could start at to scale quickly.
Very cool. We'll talk more about that in just a minute. Right now we need to take a break. You're listening to Beer Guys Radio, and we are talking to Wild Leap Brewing Company. We'll be back right after this.
Time for the Hot List. The Beer Guys have the scoop on what's going on next week. Brought to you by CRL Contracting. We build breweries. CRLcontracting.com.
That's hot.
And we have lots of awesome events in Georgia this week as we roll into the Thanksgiving holiday week. Tomorrow, Sunday, Creature Comfort's Table Beer Dinner at the National in Athens. On Monday, come join Beer Guys Radio at your Pie Perimeter for the live taping of our 100th show. We'll have Creature Comforts on with us. They were our first episode. They'll be back on for our 100th, and they will also be releasing their collaboration beer with Your Pie Perimeter, Orange Cream. So come check that out. On Tuesday, we have Friendsgiving at Truck and Tap in Woodstock. And after you enjoy that on Wednesday, you can catch Friendsgiving at Reformation Brewery. On Thursday, Thanksgiving, no events, of course. Stay home, give thanks, enjoy some turkey, family, or stay away from family if that's your thing. So, whatever makes you feel good. On Friday, lots and lots of brewery events for Black Friday. The Old Oil Can release at Second Self, Lady and the Champ at Ironmonger. We have Abbey Noir release at Terrapin, Kegs and Eggs up at Cherry Street, and, of course, the infamous Bourbon County Stouts release every year on Black Friday. So on Saturday, Red Hair releases their Kaiser Soza beer at the brewery, so go check that out. And so for a full list of events, check out beerguysradio.com, calendar of events. It's Aaron and Tim, the Beer Guys. If you're like us, no lunch or dinner is complete without a pint or two of craft beer.
Which is why Truck and Tap in downtown Woodstock and Alpharetta are always on our list. Tim, why do they call it Truck and Tap?
Well, the tap part is easy, Aaron. See, they've got 18 of them.
As for the truck part, well, that's when it gets interesting. Truck and Tap features your favorite Atlanta area food trucks daily, so that way you're getting a different menu every day.
Truck and Tap in downtown Woodstock, Alpharetta, and coming soon to Duluth in 2018. Truckandtap.com. Let them know that the Beer Guys sent you.
Follow the Beer Guys on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
You passed out cigarettes for a smoke-a-thon on Earth Day. You installed speed bumps on the handicapped ramp. And most recently, you dumped 100 pounds of meat on a peaceful vegan protest.
Oh, come on. That was way more than 100 pounds.
Now, back to the Beer Guys Radio Show.
And welcome back to the Beer Guys Radio Show, beerguysradio.com. Talking to a couple of guys from LaGrange who took a wild leap. There you go. And brought a brewery, open a brewery. Rob Goldstein and Chris Elliott. Again, thanks for joining us, guys. We appreciate it.
Sure.
Absolutely. So now we're cracking open some more of your beers. There's another one here that's kind of making the rounds that I've missed, actually.
Chance.
So, Chance the Rapper.
So this is our Chance IPA. So
okay.
We kind of wanted to take a, generally kind of like an easy drinking sort of spin on I guess on a standard IPA. We wanted to make something that during a time where your average IPA is probably 6 to 6.3, 6.5. Got to drop it down a little bit to about 5.6, and just have it just a little bit of an easier drinker. So there's a higher chance that you can somebody will sit at the bar and have 2 or 3 of them and still make it home safely.
Yeah.
But also get to enjoy a beer that's tropical and citrus and just a hint of haze. We didn't go too heavy on the haze. We're not sure the kids are ready for that one yet.
No, they don't want any of that crazy haze stuff going down there.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it's good. It's a nice, easy drinking beer, like you said. A little bit of citrus on it, but it's not overpowering.
Nice grapefruit aroma.
Yeah. I mean, you could definitely sit down and have it. It's not a session officially, but it's pretty close.
We rode the line, and I did that.
Yeah.
We did that on purpose. How easy drinking can this be before it's a pale ale or it's a session beer? So
sure.
Right there on it. So just before the break, we were talking a little bit about your brew house and that. So what size did you guys go with? What's your brew house setup?
So we did we decided to go 30 barrels. Right off the bat. So when we jumped from a 10-gallon system to a 30-barrel system, just a little
difference
step.
there.
That's quite a wild leap you got there. There you go. Got it. That's
So, but yeah. So we it was pretty wild too, because I just kind of woke up one morning and Anthony, our CEO, was like, "All right, you're hired. Build a brew house and get it running and make good beer on it." So we had to figure out how to do that pretty quickly. By we, I mean myself. I had to figure that out.
Yeah, we as in me. Now, even with that larger brew house, you still built your facility with plans for growth in the future, correct?
That's right. Yeah. So we have room for about 12 custom tanks that we have. We're at 5 now. So we have 4 fermenters and a bright tank. So we have room for a few more. Everything we bought was from Brewfab out of St. Petersburg, Florida. So it's all U.S. steel. It's and it's a fantastic team down there that did the build out for us. And the great thing about them is that they're building us custom tanks that'll fit in our kind of a weirder shaped brew house. So and still have the volume that we need.
Very cool. Mm-hmm. Now, one thing I noticed with you guys that I think no one has done it at the level that you guys have for a launch is the use of social media. And with Facebook events, posts there. You had some contests, I believe, before you launched. Plenty of launch events around there. So just a very strong social media campaign. How has that been for you, and why the massive focus on social media out of the gate there?
Sure. I think the best way to describe it is that social media for us seems to be the most effective medium of advertising currently. Facebook, Instagram, and other avenues, Snapchat, things like that. And it kind of started because collectively we've spent hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars of other people's money making all the mistakes you can in Facebook advertising. So now we've been fortunate enough to get kind of sharper at it. And so, again, it's not perfect, but we believe that it's the best opportunity to reach craft beer fans and even people that may not know that they're craft beer fans, not only in our surrounding areas, but when we go into a market, we try to come in pretty heavy and make sure that folks are informed about that, whether it's a tap takeover that we're doing, or, for example, if you're in our 6 counties that we launch cans in this week, it's very difficult to escape that if you're looking at your smartphone.
That's good. Yeah, definitely saturation and let people know that you're there. In this crowded craft beer world, certainly an important thing to have, right?
Sure.
So, definitely. So now, at your brew house, you've got quite a lot of space, like we said. You've got a large event space out there too. How has that been?
It's been great. We all got together doing events, so it was a goal that when we were doing the build out, how do we maximize all the space we can for not only the tap room but just private events, things like that. So our tap room itself fits about 500 people, but then we have this outdoor plaza that can fit another 1,900. So we have it's a brick top, beautiful area with a stage. In fact, just this past week we installed a permanent roof, so now we can bring in large scale bands and not have to worry if it rains. How do we reschedule that and all that kind of stuff. So as a whole, between the tap room, brew house, the courtyard outside, and the plaza, we can accommodate 2,600 people, which is pretty cool.
Wow, that's 10% of your town, right? So yeah,
there you
good
go.
stuff.
Yeah. So, and I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say. I noticed that you guys still do. You offer tours there, and a lot of breweries really tried to get away from that. With the new laws, because they're not required to do that anymore. We've seen a couple that have gone back and started them up again. I think a lot of that from public demand. So now, with you being a new brewery in an area that didn't have a lot of breweries, was that decision just something that you wanted to offer, or was it based on kind of seeing a demand out there for that?
We felt that with the change in the law, there was a real opportunity that came about, in that, maybe if you were a Georgia brewery, you had to do a tour because that's how people were getting their beer at the end. So some folks may have been into it and some may have not been into it. So we thought, if we're going to offer tours, how do we make it special to where people are going to walk in and actually want to take the tour? So we created what we believe is a pretty immersive tour experience. There's exclusive glass where you can only get when you purchase a tour. There are exclusive beer samples that you can only get when you're on the tour. And we go pretty in depth, not so much in terms of like the minutia of brewing beer, because some people, it just goes over their head. But we give them a well-rounded understanding of Wild Leap, how we brew beer, where it goes after we brew, with their kegs, cans, kind of walk them through the process and make it really fun.
Sure. And we and our tour guides, one guy in particular, he will actually grab some, our guy Jamie will grab some Trube or some spent grain that day and put it in a jar, keep it cold for that tour later that day. So he just has as much of an interactive experience as you could possibly have.
I think a lot of us, because we've been to multiple breweries multiple times, the tour, we got to where the tour was a chore. You have to take the tour, you have to get the beer in that. But I could say, especially in some of these underserved cities, you really are educating the people that may not have had that experience 100 times already. Sure. So, and anytime someone can feel a connection to something, I know how this is made. I've seen the way that they make this. I know what goes into this. I know that this is, grain and water and hops and yeast. I'm sure it just helps the product, ties the community to you, helps them to feel more passionate about the beer and brewery.
And we feel that when people learn the Wild Leap story and understand, why we call it Wild Leap and why the buffalo and all that kind of stuff, they feel a connection with it as well, because ultimately this brewery was originally about 3 guys that left comfortable lifestyles and jobs to move from Atlanta to LaGrange to start this brewery. But Wild Leaps are whatever you make them. It could be taking that chance in a career, or taking that chance in your personal life or love life. It could be, a crazy hobby that you've always wanted to take up. But, Wild Leaps are relatable in the fact that, big or small, everybody does them.
Yeah, that's interesting. So yeah, and it's kind of a culture, kind of an idea that you want to do, and kind of get over that Wild Leap. And
I missed
and
one
take that
too.
chance. I'm sorry.
Double down here
again. Very cool. Well, we're going to take a quick break right now. We're still chatting with Chris Elliott and Rob Goldstein from Wild Leap in LaGrange, Georgia. We're going to talk a little bit of turkey conversation coming up in the next segment, and we'll also have a giveaway to give away. So you'll listen to the Beer Guys Radio Show. Make sure to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, all those crazy social media stuff for the latest in Georgia and Alabama beer. We'll be back right after this. If you're looking for some more craft beer talk, head on over to Drink This Beer. It's our podcast that talks to brewers from around the country and around the world. This week, we're talking to Unknown Brewing's Brad Shell.
I would never work for me. I'm hardcore about the beer and nothing slides. I mean, nothing. I mean, if we create a culture in the back of professionals when we're on the clock, and this life of, party hard off the clock. But on the clock, everyone there is willing to make beer. Everybody wants to make beer. If you work for me, here's what's going to happen. You're going to start as a noob. You're going to spend 5-6 months sweeping trash, taking out trash. If you get really good at that, and I mean really good at that, I'll let you shuffle cans on my can line. If you get really, really good at that, I'll let you scrub old yeast and hops out of a tank. And the best you'll ever be is like going up and down the brew house all day, turning valves and carrying bags of grain. So that's as good as it gets in the brew world.
Yeah.
Is that what you want to do? And the people that go, yes, those are the guys for me.
That's Drink This Beer. It's a podcast available on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Craft beer forged with a reverence for tradition and new styles that start a revolution. Ironmonger Brewing. The brewers at Ironmonger pride themselves in being masters of barrel-aged, hoppy, and sour beers. They invite you to their tap room to taste and see. And coming soon, Ironmonger's Barrel Room, featuring live entertainment. Keep up to date on all things Ironmonger by liking them on Facebook. Ironmonger Brewing, establishing a new standard in craft beer.
We are Reformation Brewery, celebrating the reformer in you. Locally crafted within the renowned Etowah watershed of Woodstock, Georgia, Reformation creates yeast-forward brews full of aroma and flavor crafted to last. Come see us in beautiful Woodstock, Georgia, for a tour and tasting of unique brews that you can't find anywhere else. Reformation Brewery. Set beer free. ReformationBrewery.com.
Follow the Beer Guys on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Back off, man. I'm a scientist.
Now, back to the Beer Guys Radio Show.
And welcome back to the Beer Guys Radio Show. Check us out at beerguysradio.com. Thank you for joining us. We have Wild Leap Brewing Company out of LaGrange, Georgia, in the studio with us today. We've been sipping their beers. We have their local gold blonde ale. We had their Chance IPA, and we're now sipping their peach cobbler beer. And what is the official name on this one, guys?
This is our World Peach.
World Peach. World Peach, Peach Cobbler Ale, which is tasty and timely for this segment and this week.
Yes.
Because we're going to talk a little bit about pairing some beer with your Thanksgiving dinner. And this one, if you were to pair this beer with any Thanksgiving item, what would that be?
Turkey.
Well, turkey there. Yeah. It's a winner. So, Aaron, when you have the house full of people or you're over at the in-laws or what have you, what beers are you taking to Thanksgiving dinner?
I usually try to make sure that I'm at somebody else's house because I don't want to clean up. So I try to make sure that I bring the beer, and that's always key. But I like to bring a mix of beers that are approachable but interesting, and they pair well with Thanksgiving stuff because I'm a big casserole guy. I'm a side guy. And of course, a lot of folks at Thanksgiving table aren't necessarily big craft beer people either. So, want to bring something that's pretty approachable, like an amber, darker lager. I'm thinking like a Laughing Skull amber, or like an Oktoberfest, like the Red Hare, or Seven Bridges out of Jekyll, of course. And that's pretty easy. Pretty easy drinking stuff, pretty approachable. But then also something that's going to pair really well with turkey, dressing, gravy, potatoes, all that kind of stuff. It's not going to completely overpower it, so I leave my IPAs at home usually. If I want to bump it up a little bit, maybe we're doing a smoked turkey instead. I may want to try like a Scotch ale, and then that will work as well to get a little bit of that Scotch smokiness to it, and enjoy that. But and then dessert, I think kind of all bets are off with that because I just want a big old barrel-aged stout or like a spiced ale like Feast Noel or something like that, just to really kind of wrap my evening out. And watch some football and pass out on the couch.
Cap it off there, right?
There you go. That's right. How about yourself?
I like to go multi-purpose with the beers. I'm going to have a Saison or something like that. You can Creature Comforts table beer is a great one. If you start off with some appetizers, we are doing a raclette course at Thanksgiving this year.
A whole raclette course?
We're going to do
awesome.
raclette appetizers.
Yes.
So I got a raclette melter, so I'm excited to break that in at the holidays. And so I think, table beer or Saison would be great, to pair with that. Going into the meal, I would probably, the Saison, either of those would carry over just fine. But you could also bring in an Oktoberfest for that, just a little bit more malt. It's still going to be light. Pretty multi-purpose with most of the traditional dishes, but we'll give you a little more character, say, than like the table beer or Saison. Three Taverns has one that is pretty much meant to pair with your Thanksgiving dinner. They have Enchantress, which used to be cranberry sauced from their experimental project, but it's liquid cranberry sauce, but with just enough flavor to where it's not like drinking cranberry sauce. It has the essence of that there. It's really good. We had some last year with Thanksgiving, and it's absolutely phenomenal. So I would definitely, if you're in the area where you can get Three Taverns Enchantress, I would highly recommend that. When it comes to the dessert course, I'm usually so full of cheese and meats and turkeys and stuffings and that although a big stout sounds delicious, it's a bit heavy for me at that period.
Yeah.
So you know what, I may just take it easy and actually have a cup of coffee and a slice of pie to wrap things up.
You're a crazy man.
I know, man.
It's
getting crazy.
Absolutely. Hey, we're talking again to Chris Elliott and Rob Goldstein from Wild Leap Brewing in LaGrange. And we want to kind of get into some more information here, too, because we talked earlier in the show. Copper Creek in Athens is closing. We just recently heard that Gordon Bierce was recently shuttering their Midtown Atlanta location. Still see a lot of breweries opening and planning to open in Georgia. What do you guys think is the key to some long-term success in an increasingly crowded environment? Let's put it that way.
You want to start, Rob?
That's when you look at all the breweries that are opening up in the state of Georgia. Part of you thinks, "Wow, that's a lot." But then if you look at other states, it's not even a drop in the bucket compared to California or Colorado or other places. So we believe that there's a lot of room on the playground for everyone to prosper. I mean, if you look at a place like Asheville, how many breweries are in that concentrated area? So what we try to do is just focus on our beer and make great beer and give people an amazing experience and have good marketing and all of that. And we believe the rest will take care of itself.
Okay.
Very cool.
And we think, and just your size, you got to think about the fact that if you're going to distribute, make sure you make enough beer to where if it's a popular beer, it's going to stay on the shelf and you're going to keep your distributor happy. But while at the same time, you're going to need to always balance that with making something that's kind of new and interesting, even on a small batch level, to keep those people happy as well.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's talk more about your beers and your beer program then. So we've enjoyed a couple of your cores here today. Like we mentioned, the Local Gold and the Chance IPA. Looking on your website, there was also a Sunvale Raspberry Wheat. Is that part of your core line up there?
That is basically a seasonal or a series where we do, that's kind of where we focus on more of the fruited wheat beers is what we have planned for 2018.
Okay. Well, that was gonna be one of the questions is what is coming up for 2018? What's in the pipeline there?
Sure.
So we have we're planning on doing before the end of the year. We're going to get our porter out there. We're just going to do an American stout actually, or an American chocolate stout, and then we'll probably go pretty quickly into our Sunvale series where we have we'll start various releases about every 3 months. With different fruits featured,
all in that wheat base, just
all with a similar beer base, a similar wheat base is what we have planned for it. Just a beer that works well with the fruit, and we'll, like I said, we'll probably do that. Every 3 or 4 months or so, we're going to release a new one in that series. And I believe that's about as far as we made it onto our brew lineup for next year. I think we have a lot to decide. Being as new as we are. We can only have so many brands before we have to start getting more tanks, and
sure.
So we kind of have to figure that out as well as we nail down our brew schedule. So, but a lot of we're not short on ideas, that's for sure.
That's good. You always have to have a big queue of ideas to keep you busy.
And if you check out our tap room, there's anywhere between 10 and 15 beers on at any time, and a lot of that is experimental stuff that Chris and the gang are doing. So it's there's of course the cores and Sunvale and things like that, but there's also World Peach and various versions of a stout that actually are on tap right now. And then, of course, there's a lemon ginger ale and just different things that by having this tap room and being able to have folks give us feedback, whether it's through Untapped or just personal interactions, it helps us kind of shape the next quarter or few quarters of where our direction goes.
Now, Chris, you mentioned that you had a 10-gallon system before you went up 30. Is that your pilot system now?
That's still our current pilot system. We will be buying a 2-barrel system and some 5-barrel fermenters to do kind of. I think we're going to start out kind of focusing on the local community and working with local restaurants and bars, and 5 barrels or 4 barrels of beer is enough usually to keep a small area satisfied. And we'll also use that to play with new brands,
right?
To see whether or not we want to kind of move up to the bigger system.
And with the new laws, that's a lot more feasible to do 2-barrel batches, right?
That's
so you can sell them there at the tap room.
Sure.
Cool. Chris Elliott, Rob Goldstein. It's time to wrap up the conversation. Just real quickly, where can folks kind of get a hold or stay a hold of what you guys have got going on?
Yeah, I think the Facebook page is probably the best resource for everything that's current. We create Facebook events for all the events we're doing, whether it's at Atlanta or LaGrange or Auburn or Columbus, et cetera. And we'll always have information on our website and Instagram page as well. and we hope to see you out there.
Sounds like a plan. Thanks, you guys so much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
It's time, Tim. It's time for that giveaway to give away.
It is time for the giveaway to give away. And our winner this week, Aaron, is Chad Bowling. Woo. So, Chad, thank you so much for subscribing to This Week in Georgia Beer. Drop us an email to beerguys@beerguysradio.com or just click the link in the weekly newsletter, and we'll get you a very cool swag pack out. So, Aaron, if folks want to join the fun, get an awesome newsletter and win a prize, what do they do?
It's all good. We just need to visit beerguysradio.com and sign up for This Week in Georgia Beer that Tim does an awesome job with every week. You'll get that newsletter with all the happenings in Georgia Beer. You'll also be entered to win that weekly swag pack that Chad just won. So lots of cool stuff in there. Coming up next week, we're going to be celebrating our 100th episode. Are you kidding me? Woo-hoo. We're going to be at your Pie Perimeter, and we're going to be talking to our very first guests on the show. Creature Comforts is going to join us.
Number
That's cool.
one and number 100.
That sounds like a fun time. Anyway, in the meantime, check us out at beerguysradio.com and on the socials. If you want more craft beer information, check out our podcast, Drink This Beer. And this week, we're talking to Brad Schell. He's the founder of Charlotte's Unknown Brewing. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you later. Don't forget to drink local. Cheers.
Thanks for listening to the Beer Guys Radio Show. We're on demand via iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcasts. Always online at beerguysradio.com. Aaron and Tim are back next week with more about the amazing world of craft beer. Cheers.